our grocery home delivery program started as a direct response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We really thought it would be this sort of temporary thing, and that when the pandemic ended, we'd probably sunset the program since it would be safe for folks to kind of be back in the world and going back into those resources. And what we really were hearing very strongly from the community was how much of a value add the delivery program was to their lives. We realized pretty quickly that there's a lot of reasons why folks can't make it to their food bank. That's the impact we've really seen, is being able to sort of bridge that gap between clients and the food that they need by bringing it safely to their doors.
This is Hourglass, the podcast for United Way of King County in Seattle. Coming up, a conversation about United Way's free home grocery delivery program. As United Way is set to launch our end-of-year giving campaign that focuses on hunger, Hourglass sat down with Cheyenne Stolmeier, United Way Food Security Program Manager, and Hannah Gauntz, United Way Food Security Senior Program Coordinator, to discuss our program that provides free groceries door-to-door to local residents in need. We'll also discuss our upcoming free tax preparation campaign and a local volunteer opportunity. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for tuning in. Each October, organizations and governments around the world ramp up their efforts to address the fact that far too many people lack enough food to eat. This month, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, or FAO, celebrated its annual World Food Day, a collective action that it says involves 150 countries worldwide. FAO says World Food Day is celebrated on October 16th to promote international awareness of hunger and encourage actions to help address the issue. October 12th to 16th was National Food Bank Week, which the U.S. Congress in 1986 originally designated for the month of May, but shifted the observance to October to align with World Food Day. United Way of King County and our partners applaud such campaigns, as we have dedicated ourselves to addressing hunger in October and year-round. Every week, we feed thousands of families via our home grocery delivery program. We team up with Amazon, DoorDash, local grocery stores, and food banks to deliver free items to people door to door in the same way that merchants courier purchased products to their customers. The home grocery delivery program began during the COVID-19 pandemic, and since then we've completed more than 900,000 deliveries. In addition to fielding one of the largest home grocery delivery services in the nation, United Way has helped fundamentally change the way the emergency food system operates. The program has been vital to people with disabilities, residents of so-called food deserts, those with transportation issues, and folks who grapple with the stigma and shame of depending on food banks to make ends meet. Along with our Breakfast After the Bell and free summer meals programs in counties statewide, United Way's home grocery delivery program has helped offset the rising cost of groceries and recent cuts to federal nutrition programs. As United Way is set to launch our end-of-year giving campaign that will focus on hunger, Hourglass has invited 2 United Way staff to discuss our home grocery delivery program, including recent changes to it that we believe will better help serve local communities. We sat down with Cheyenne Stolmeier, United Way Food Security Program Manager, and Hannah Gauntz, United Way Food Security Senior Program Coordinator. And we begin the conversation with Hannah, who discussed the origins of the home grocery delivery program and the need it addresses.
So, our grocery home delivery program started in the summer of 2020 as a direct response to the COVID-19 pandemic. I think a lot of the images of, miles-long lines at food banks kind of really have stuck with us since that pandemic, and that was just the case that we found our community in. And we were realizing that more folks than ever were needing resources like food bank food. but for the first time were unable to access it. And so we started what we thought at the time was going to just be a very small sort of project until this whole COVID thing blew over. And approached all of our food bank partners across the county, folks that we either had pre-existing working relationships or some folks who we did not have an existing relationship with, and kind of came to them with this idea that United Way could sort of take the burden of managing clients off of the food bank, and then utilize a partnership with, at the time, it was just DoorDash, to really sort of alleviate all the burden on to the food bank partners. So all they were having to do is just provide the food and hand it off. And many partners signed off on that. I think at the time, staffing capacity and capacity in general was really a challenge. And so I think it was really appealing, that sort of offer coming in, because ultimately food banks want to be feeding as many folks as possible. And so through this program, we were able to do that. And what started as a very short project quickly became a program as COVID lasted a lot longer than we anticipated. And so folks signing up in that program were able to do it in a pretty low barrier way. At the time, clients just had to self-attest that they were food insecure, and they couldn't make it to the food bank for whatever reason. And then they were able to receive a weekly or bi-weekly, depending on their schedule preferences, contact-free delivery to their home, same as anyone else who'd be ordering food delivery or grocery deliveries and things like that.
Great. And what has been the impact of the home grocery delivery program?
So when we started the program again, we really thought it would be this sort of temporary thing, and that when the pandemic ended, we'd probably sunset the program since it would be safe for folks to kind of be back in the world and going back into those resources. And what we really were hearing very strongly from the community was how much of a value add the delivery program was to their lives. We realized pretty quickly that there's a lot of reasons why folks can't make it to their food bank. So we were serving clients who are living with disabilities, maybe caretakers to folks with disabilities, a lot of folks who didn't have access to transportation and who lived too far than was reasonable to reach a food bank. A lot of families with children who didn't have access to proper childcare. And then a lot of clients who really felt a lot of internal sort of shame and stigma by even going to a food bank in the first place, and were able to get, these deliveries that were so needed, but in a very private and discreet way. And so that's the impact we've really seen, is being able to sort of bridge that gap between clients and the food that they need by bringing it safely to their doors.
Great. And how many households, how many families or individuals are we serving weekly through the home grocery delivery program? And what are some of the types of foods or non-food items do we provide people with?
We're currently serving internally, so the clients that my team at United Way are managing ourselves. It's about 2,500 clients. Additionally, though, we provide, we cover the cost of delivery with DoorDash, or the technical support of delivery with DoorDash and Amazon, to partners as well, to sort of help them get their deliveries that they're running out the door. So those are clients that we're not managing, but who we're either supporting via offering that free service with corporate partners, or by financially supporting the food banks themselves. So that would be an additional roughly 2,500 or so, give or take. And so if you put that all together, it's about 5,000 households across the county a week.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. And what are some of the foods that we've been serving them?
Yeah, so the food banks themselves select all the food that goes out within the program. And so every food bank is a little different based on the communities they're serving, the resources that they have, volunteers, things like that. But usually, for the most part, folks are receiving a week's worth of sort of supplemental food items, pantry items, usually groceries that are hitting every major food group, so that folks are able to spend their dollars on other things. We have some partners that really strive for meeting folks where they're at with their dietary needs.
Sure.
I think a great example of this would be the University District Food Bank in North Seattle. They're able to build really personalized boxes to accommodate folks with allergies and dietary restrictions, cultural restrictions, things like that. We do also have a handful of partners that are able to offer non-food items, actually, in addition to the grocery deliveries. So another great example of this would be our Partners at Nurse Helpline. They're able to send out dog food, cat food, menstrual hygiene products, sometimes household items, diapers, things of that nature, which is really just such a value add to our clients who, are living, in some cases, paycheck to paycheck. We also have a lot of clients living off of Social Security and things like that. And so budget's pretty tight there. And then we also have a handful of partners who are really striving to meet people's cultural needs. And are able to offer, usually it's a 1 day a week and part of their larger delivery scheme, but culturally relevant food. So a great example of that would be the Pike Market Food Bank. On Fridays, they are sending bags out filled with foods appropriate to Asian and Pacific Islander diets. And our foods that are those clients are just more familiar with cooking with and eating and prefer.
It's interesting. The thought of pet food never entered my mind. And when you think about it, there are so many people that actually have pets that need food just as much. That is a great plus.
Yeah, and there's actually been, I can't remember exactly the study, but I was reading something like 67% of pet owners actually share human food with their pets. And so in some ways that's out of necessity because pet food just is so expensive.
Right. Okay, so talk about the program moving forward and our most recent changes and how will those changes benefit the communities that we serve?
Yeah, I can jump in here. So especially this year, there's been a lot of changes at a lot of different levels, especially the federal level. So if we think back to when the program first started during COVID, we were seeing really high needs and really high levels of hunger in the community, but there was also a huge influx of resources. And so we were in a space where there was a lot of need, but there was also a lot of resources, and we could really get moving and get a program up and running. And people were pretty much guaranteed if they joined our wait list, they were only going to be on it for maybe a couple weeks, and then they'd be on a list to get deliveries. And now we're in a much different sort of landscape in the food security space. So we're seeing, again, really high levels of hunger and really high levels of need in the community, but we're also in a space where there's been a lot of federal funding cuts. We lost our AmeriCorps program that internally we were relying on a lot, and a lot of our programs and partners were also relying on. SNAP is experiencing a lot of cuts right now, so the folks who are relying on SNAP to buy groceries, we're expecting to see a lot more of those folks going to food banks. The WIC program right now is also, because of the government shutdown in particular, is also folks are experiencing some cuts in their support there. And then we also just the cost of food and the cost of groceries is really increasing. So we're in the space where there's still that really high level of need, but a lot fewer resources. And even with us, our funding and our resources that we have access to has changed a lot too. So right now where we're at, and like I mentioned, the cuts with AmeriCorps also really impacted us. We had AmeriCorps members that were supporting a lot of our internal operations and doing a lot of that client management. and like being that sort of like customer service voice almost for the folks accessing this program. And we don't have those AmeriCorps members anymore, and our funding is shifting a little bit. So we have at United Way, we have a lot more funding that we can distribute out to our community partners, and a little bit less funding that we can spend internally on staffing. And so the shift that we're doing right now, we're still really investing a lot in the home delivery program, but we're shifting from investing as much of our own internal staff time in the program to really investing financially in partners. They're the ones that have those sort of on the ground relationships with their communities also. So we're hoping that they'll have more ownership. They can make their own decisions about their programs. They can customize it a little bit more to their needs. They have the ability to add people a little bit more quickly, or sort of change up and have some flexibility with their delivery schedules if needed. And we're hoping that this will also result in more stability for the folks who are receiving the services right now, the deliveries, because we'll be able to invest in those partners to keep the program running at the partner level. If we weren't able to make this shift, we might have to scale back on our end just because we don't have the same internal staffing capacity. So the hope is we'll be able to really invest in our partners, have them really build up their own programs and take that client management aspect over, take on some of that more like logistical side of things. They'll be the ones scheduling orders and whatnot. But that there won't be much of a change or a shift felt on the client side of things. So services should continue, hopefully pretty uninterrupted for clients. And we're hoping in the long run, it'll be a pretty positive impact too. And there'll be a nice level of stability for folks who are receiving services.
Who are some of our partners? And I know, you mentioned DoorDash and you mentioned Amazon. Will both of them continue to be our partners in this?
Yeah. So yes. So in terms of our delivery partners, we are working with DoorDash and with Amazon. With DoorDash, the program is called Project Dash, and we're actually among one of the 3 biggest partners across the country running the project program, which is pretty cool. I believe we were the biggest at one point, but things shifting scale back. And then more recently, but no less valued, we're also working with Amazon. I believe at this point we have 9 food bank partners partnering with Amazon, and they've also committed to working this program. It's called Amazon Community Delivery for the foreseeable future. And really without these sort of entities, it would not be possible to have scaled to the level we've scaled to. We have some food bank partners that run their own delivery programs and largely rely on volunteers to be getting that food out. And there's really kind of always a struggle to find those dedicated volunteer drivers and to have enough on retention to really expand. And so what's nice about using services like DoorDash and Amazon is you don't have to rely on, is this person on vacation? Are they under the weather? Do they know this route? You can sort of just tap into this pre-existing network of delivery drivers using that technology of, routes being able to be generated like that and get that food.
Perfect. So lastly, for our listeners listening to this podcast, how can they support our home grocery delivery program?
Yeah, and Hannah, add anything I might forget. But I think one of the biggest things, there's a couple of big things. One is just donating. If you donate to United Way, a lot of that money will go to our food security work and especially our home delivery program. So definitely, if you are able to, donating is a huge way. We super appreciate that. We are able to use that as pretty flexible funds to support our food bank partners in whatever sort of needs may arise for them. So that might be, if they're doing their own deliveries, maybe they need a repair on their car. It might be purchasing some food. It might be things like that. So definitely donating is a big one. And the other one is, especially as the holiday seasons are kind of the busy season for our food bank partners, we're heading into the holiday season now. A lot of our food banks need some volunteer support. They also will take donations directly. If you have some canned foods or some shelf stable foods, they'll take some donations, but definitely donating your time to our food bank partners. If you have a food bank in your community, I'm sure that they will take on some extra volunteers, especially during this holiday time when they're seeing higher levels of needs, and a lot of them will try to do some bigger holiday food drives or getting foods out to folks over the holidays for sure. So those I think are probably the big ways. But yeah, we appreciate all of it.
Perfect. Cheyenne and Hannah, thank you so much. United Way's Home Grocery Delivery, thank you for your time. For more information about United Way's efforts to address hunger, log on to our website at uwkc.org, and at the top of the landing page, click on the 3 horizontal lines to the right of the Give icon. Then under the What We Do section, click on Food Security. United Way of King County's free tax preparation campaign is gearing up for another tax season. Funded by United Way, the IRS, and the City of Seattle, United Way's free tax prep service is for individuals who make up to $80,000 a year, or up to $96,000 for non-single filers. United Way tax prep specialists help clients understand their tax situations and take advantage of benefits such as the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Working Families Tax Credit. In 2025, United Way served 18,200 of our neighbors, helping them access more than $16 million in tax credits and refunds. United Way tax sites will open on January 25th, but currently we are seeking volunteers for more than 20 free tax prep locations throughout King County, including sites at the downtown Seattle Library and in South Center Mall, as well as our virtual tax site. Volunteers are fully trained and IRS certified. To sign up, log on to uwkc.org/taxvolunteer. And for another local volunteer opportunity, University District Food Bank is looking for volunteers to help assist in serving food insecure members of our community. If you have just a few hours a week to give, you can make an impact on people's lives. The food bank has opportunities on Monday through Saturday, with some shifts during evening hours. For more information, log on to udistrictfoodbank.org/get-involved. At United Way of King County, we are working side by side with communities to build an equitable future for everyone. Hourglass United Way is a podcast that highlights how we and our partners spend time making a difference in our communities. Our work is made possible by the generous donations from people like you. Please send comments and suggestions about our podcast to hourglassunitedway@gmail.com. To learn more about our work or to support United Way, log on to uwkc.org. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for listening. Until next time.